In this session, we will deploy Elastic Beanstalk using blue-green deployment model. Before moving on to this session, please subscribe to our channel so that you will never miss an update on our upcoming videos. Now let us take a quick glance at the agenda. Firstly, we will be getting introduced to AWS Elastic Beanstalk, and then we will discuss about blue-green deployments in Elastic Beanstalk, and then finally, we will be doing step-by-step Elastic Beanstalk deployment using blue-green. So we have taken a clip from one of our certification training program on AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional DOPC01. In this clip, our expert will deploy Elastic Beanstalk using blue-green deployment model.
Hey there, welcome back. This is Atul from Team K1 Academy, and in this lesson, we're going to look at how to deploy a web application like Elastic Beanstalk using a blue-green deployment model. I'll explain you what is blue-green deployment model. This model can be used for any application. We are using it to deploy a web application that's created using Elastic Beanstalk, but you can use it for any other application as well, as I said earlier just now. So let's first look at what exactly we are going to learn and understand, or what exactly is a blue-green deployment if you're not familiar. So before that, what is Elastic Beanstalk? So Beanstalk is a easy to use service for deploying and scaling up a web-based applications that can be developed using either Java, .NET, PHP, Python, Node.js, Ruby, Go, Docker, or any other familiar servers which are deployed on Apache, Nginx, Passenger, or IIS. So that's what is Beanstalk. And in this lesson, we're going to use that Beanstalk lab or application built using Beanstalk to deploy blue-green deployment model. So what this blue-green deployment means is that let's suppose you have an application which is already running, and let's suppose that application is running or deployed in currently on a blue environment where I have my application which is live currently that has a database tier, apps tier, and a web tier, and it's currently live on this blue environment. Now tomorrow I want a next version of this release, or my developers or my business guys have said, oh, they want to add some functionality and they're going to release a new version of this application that must be run pretty much on similar infrastructure. So if you redeploy on an existing platform or existing environment, there'll be some downtime involved. And I can't afford that downtime at this, or most of these business applications can't afford the downtime. So what you do is you create a similar environment from infrastructure point of view that you have on a current live environment that you call as a green environment. So you have the database tier, apps tier, web server. So infrastructure wise, it's same. Now what you do is parallelly you have a load balancer, and currently your load balance, or you deploy the new version of this app on the green environment. And then you have two URLs. One is URL which is pointing to blue and another URL pointing to green. And blue will have the older version and green will have the newer version. And both have their own unique URLs. And your production guys are using the blue environment, and developers or testers are testing on green environment using the green environment URL. And once you are ready, once you have done and tested things on the green environment, and or a couple of users have used into the green environment, you can simply swap the URL so that instead of application going to the end users going to the blue environment, they now go to the green environment. So that's what we are going to do in this lab, and this is what blue-green environment means. So what we're going to do in this particular guide, I will be creating a application, or we'll be using we have picked up a custom or a sample application that currently will be deploying on a blue environment first, and also then have a updated version of application which I'm going to deploy on a green environment, and then I'll swap the URLs to finally test that I have got the new version of environment. That's what we are doing in this lab. So just to give you the glimpse of in terms of the index. So as always, you have an introduction, which I've just briefly mentioned, but it's worth reading on this introduction one more time. Then we'll look at documentation link, which are used in order to prepare this document. The prerequisite, which you must have done, or you should already have, like you should already have an AWS account, which we have done in module 2. So refer to that prerequisite. Then we set up a blue-green deployment using Elastic Beanstalk. And then we'll create an application, and we are going to use a PHP application, but you can use, as I was saying earlier, any application like Python or Ruby or Node.js or Docker for that reason. Then we'll create a blue environment and deploy this application. Then we'll create a green environment, but this time we are going to deploy a updated PHP application on that. And then finally, we'll swap the URL and we'll test that I'm going to the new version of application. Finally, we'll delete or clean up as we always do so that you don't get charged for these resources if you don't leave them running. So that's what we are going to do in this lab. So with that, let's first look at what we or refer to this documentation, and it's always good to go through these documentation once if you want to see um, any further report in terms of looking at this document. Then the prerequisite, you should already have a AWS account, whether it's free or paid account. So first is what we are going to do, we are going to create a Elastic Beanstalk application. And let me directly go to the server and show it to you, and I'll come back to this application or this part as and when required. So if you look here, I'm on AWS console and I'll search for Beanstalk. So this is a Elastic Beanstalk, which is to run and manage web apps. Click on this. Now, the first time you'll come to the screen, you will have an application, and application will be hosted on environment. So you have an application and it will be deployed on an environment. So you either can go from environment here, or we'll stick to what I'm doing. So we'll create an application first. Now we'll give an environment name, or sorry, the application name. So I'm creating an application first. I'll say application name as blue, this application. Now I can specify the tags, and you already know tags is to give all a description or metadata to this application. Now I should be selecting a platform for this application, but right now when I select the platform, it will also create an environment for me, and I don't know how to do it right now. I'll create an environment separately and attach it to you so you understand what I'm doing. So you've just simply created an application and click on create an application. Now you'll get an error message saying that platform, you need a platform, and it's an expected behavior. So leave it and stay on this screen for or wait for 5 minutes or so and click on cancel here and go to this applications here and wait for approximately 5 minutes and refresh this page again here. I'm going to wait. I'll come back. I'll pause this recording. I'll wait for 5 minutes and I'll come back on the screen now. Now, within few minutes, or probably give yourself 5 minutes or so, if you refresh here, you will come and see this application here. Now, a lot of guys ask me why I'm creating or why I'm continuing like this and why I did not select a platform, and I'll explain you a reason for that. So I have an application. If you see here, there's an application run on top of an environment, which will need my servers and which will need load balancer and all those things. So I've just created a blank empty application, and now I'm going to create an environment under that. I could have created an environment with when I was doing the application itself. That time I could have created an environment, but that gives me then I wanted to show you the application name as this, which is a blue-green deployment. Whereas under that, I wanted to have two environments, one with the name blue and second is with the name green. If I would have created the environment name while creating an application, what it does is it gives the environment name as well, this full. And I wanted to make it a little clear in terms of which environment is for what. So just to recap, my application runs on top of an environment, and this application will create two environments. One environment is blue and second environment green. Blue environment will have the older version and green environment will have a new version. And once I have the new version, we'll swap the URLs. So just to do a quick recap, I went into applications, and from here, or maybe I'll go back to the console here and say Beanstalk. This is what I did, Elastic Beanstalk, which is this, and I wanted to create application. I selected a empty one without any platform, and it gave me an error, but I refreshed after 5 minutes, and if I come under applications, I come up this error, but this screen like which has an application, and if you see environments, there's no environment. Now this application will need an environment to run. So I'm going to select this application, click this application, which is this application, and now I'm going to create an environment to run on which this environment will run. So what kind of environment this is? You can have an environment which is a web server environment, or it can be a worker environment, and which is kind of a scheduled job on demand work you want to do. I'm more interested on creating a web a server, and with web server, I'll be PHP and other things as well, which I'll show you in a minute. So I've selected the web environment, and now this is where I want to give the environment name. So right now, if you look at the documentation, I'm on a blue environment creation. So I clicked on this application name. I clicked on create an environment. I said I want to create a web environment, and I want to select this environment name as blue environment. And this is what I was talking about. If I select here, if I would have selected the environment creation or platform while creating application in the previous step, it would have created an environment name as well with this. So it could be confusing. That's why we have selected a blue environment now here. And um, if you want, you can generate your own URL. Domain is my URL, which is dot. In this case, I'm going to give this a environment name, maybe a blue environment, or or then it will automatically generate this. So this is the URL through which I'm going to access this application. Now, platform is this is where what kind of a platform I want, and this is based on the application I'm running. So it's like Go, Java, Python, PHP, as I said. So I'm interested in running my Python application. This is not Python, it's a PHP application I'm creating. So I've picked up a PHP application, and you can deploy your own any of the applications. So I've selected here, I've selected a PHP application, and from this PHP application, what is the version of the PHP? And the platform is 3. I'll leave it to the default, which is PHP 7.4, and the platform version on which this on AWS is 3.1.4 recommended. Now, application, I could have uploaded my code, but I wanted to show you the sample application. So I will be using the sample application for now, and then I have a updated version of the sample application, which I'll show you in the next step. So I said create an environment. Now what it's doing is in the background, it's going to create, if you see steps, it's create environment, and it'll take approximately, I've started it 9:18 a.m. on 17th of January 2021. So if it's now it's creating an environment. So it's first creating or storage bucket for this environment, and it created a bucket behind the scene, and it will create a EC2 instance, and on that EC2 instance it will front end a load balancer. So it'll create a load balancer, it will create an EC2 instance and deploy on that EC2 of type PHP, run PHP and deploy this application. It will do everything for me. So I'll need to wait for around 10 minutes. So I'll pause this recording and I'll come back to you in 10 minutes to show you what it's going to do. So once wait for around 10 minutes, and then we'll verify on my EC2 that a blue environment is deployed, which environment is a machine or Unix machine which is running on top of this. Okay, so I've probably around waited for a few minutes, like in fact I took around 5 minutes or so. So if you look at the bottom, it started creating an environment, and it went if you see, it created an auto scaling group, which probably, if you have not heard it yet, it will probably be coming. What is auto scaling group? Which basically in a simple nutshell, auto scaling is a EC2 instance which can scale on demand, and required it can add automatically more and more nodes automatically for it as the demand increases. Also, the deployment has completed. I wish I could have showed you the screens, what's being gone or what was happened inside. Probably I don't know if, oh yeah. So this is what screens happen. So if I want to say show all, so you can look at the events, what happened in this event. So just to go back, I was on under the environments, and then we created this blue environment. And if you look under the events, if you scroll down and say show all recent events, so this is what happened in order to this event. So it created a security group which allowed the port number, whatever the port URL, whether it's 80 or 443. It created an EC2 instance and deployed our application. It created some CloudWatch alarm. It look at this and it deployed the EC2 instance, everything all on this. So if I want to what you should be doing is you should go and look at EC2 and verify that EC2, the environment has been launched. So this is a machine it'll create. And if you go under instances, and if you see this is the blue environment, if you see this is the environment that's being created and started. So that's what it has done in behind the scene. I'll give it around 10 minutes or so. So now I'm ready to access this URL and or the environment is already built. So I go back to my Beanstalk. And if you click on this blue environment and type here, click on this URL. So this is, it has already created or picked up name automatically blue environment because we used environment name is blue environment. I could have used a different URL as well. So click on this link here. It'll open an application which is saying congratulations, you have successfully AWS Elastic Beanstalk PHP application is now running, and it's listening on port number. If you see here, it's a not secure URL. So it's HTTP, and you can always change all these things here. So now once this is done, let's move on. Now this is, we have created a blue environment. Now we are ready to create a green environment, which is a same thing, everything environment, everything is same. It's just the application which I'll be doing or deploying PHP application, which will be a new version. So what we have done is we downloaded the sample application which was earlier. We updated something on that application and I've downloaded as PHP v2 or I've copied on this location as a PHP v2 version. So I'll simply go to the URL or this URL, hit this URL, copy paste it and hit enter, and it will download this PHP v2 version. So I'll save it as a PHP v2. I already had a PHP v2, but I'll download it again and say save. I'll say overwrite. Yes, because I downloaded this PHP v2 earlier yesterday. So it has, I have now the same code or revised code or updated version of this code. So this is how the existing one look like, and we have updated some word here on this PHP file. So now I go back on and create an environment. So under applications name, so under applications, I've created this application. You can click on this application and I'll add one more environment. So this is a blue environment where my code one or original code is running, and create an environment. Same, we'll creating a web server. And this time we are going to name it as a green environment. So environment name is green environment, and click on managed platform. If you scroll down, this is what we are using. We are installing Python, oh sorry, PHP, not Python. We deployed PHP, and in sample application, instead of sample application, I'll say upload your code, and we will choose a file, and the file which we downloaded, which is PHP v2 just now. Click on open and click on create environment. Now again, this environment will take around 10 minutes, so it'll follow the same process, but it'll create another EC2 instance and then it'll be creating another load balancer, but with a different name. Everything is the way we did earlier, but this time similar environment, but a new code. So I'll pause this recording, I'll come back in 10 minutes, and we'll see again one more EC2 instance being created. So if you come back here, if you see now green environment, if you see environment health is transitioning from pending to OK, and it's basically successfully launched environment, green environment. So I'll go back to EC2, and this time now you see two environments, one blue and one green, which is a EC2 instance. So if you go under instances, and now if you see, we also have now green environment. Earlier it was blue environment. Now we have green environment with this now. So I have two environments now, and I should be able to see or run my green environment. I'll click on green or go to Beanstalk again. And if I go to my environments here again, and this is my green environment, click on this, and you see another URL, this time with a green environment name. So you click on this. So if you see now, I have updated version. So this is my green dash environment, and this is my blue dash environment. So blue is older, just congratulations, and whereas green is updated version here. So now, once you're done, once you've tested, and once your developers have tested the application, you're all ready to swap the URLs. So once we have tested both updated version, we are ready to swap this URL. So I'll go, there's a action button and say swap here. So I'll go to action and I'll say swap URL. or swap environment URL. And because I want my users are still using blue, so I'll click on swap environment. And this is my green environment. I want to swap it with my blue environment. So whatever is the application load balancer pointing to green, they'll swap each other. So I'll click on swap. You refresh, and then if you see now in my green environment, the URL is blue. So if I now go to my blue environment and refresh it, I have seen now in blue is now become updated version. And if I see now my green, green is my older, like the green is now older version and the blue is my new version. And this is how it's being, you've successfully updated the version of the application. So that's is in a nutshell blue-green environment. So once you're done, once you've tested it, make sure don't forget to clean up the environment. So you'll be going and delete both blue-green deployments and you'll be deleting the application as well. So let me just quickly go here and show it to you. So you go to environments and make sure you select this and actions and say terminate environment. What it'll do is it will terminate all the, and I need to type the URL here, whatever is the name of the environment, which is blue environment. So terminate. And similarly, I'll go to the second environment, green one, and then we'll terminate that as well. And this is so that you don't get charged of leaving this environment running, because otherwise, if you leave it running and you in a free trial account, you only get limited number of hours for EC2 environment. So we have terminated it. I'll go on to the applications. Behind the scene, it will terminate both the EC2 instances, load balancers, anything else it has configured. So I'll go to this application and I'll say that actions and delete the application as well. I'll give the name of the application, delete it, click on delete, and it'll go and delete the term. So I simply go and verify on my EC2 instances, give it probably around 5 minutes or so. And if refresh them and you'll see that terminating. So if I go under instances and it has green environment, it's shutting down and refresh them. And after some time, you will see that's being terminated. So make sure you see terminated, it will be removed here. So that completes our blue-green deployment model.
So we have put down everything about the certification, including the basic concepts that one should know, everything like introduction to DevOps on cloud, software development lifecycle automation, configuration management and infrastructure as code, and monitoring and logging in AWS, policy and automation in AWS, incident and event response, high availability fault tolerance and disaster recovery. So in this 12-week roadmap, we take you from basics to advanced level along with the tips and resources for clearing the certification exam. We also have a separate team working for CV preparation and on-job support. So if you want to become AWS certified DevOps engineer professional and want to learn right from basics to expert level, then we have a comprehensive step-by-step training for you that includes hands-on labs, including exam preparation, and most important part, 1 year on-job support. So if you are interested in this program, then I would highly recommend you to attend the free class, which covers most of the topics like DevOps with AWS and tools, continuous integration and continuous deployment tools, AWS Elastic Beanstalk, infrastructure as code, and many other topics. So if you are interested in this free class, you can visit k21academy.com/AWS DevOps 02. You can also find the link in the description.